Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Alyn. Our guest is the author of The Expectant Father, the ultimate guide for dads to be. Former military, thank you for your 7 years of service. And we were talking just before the break about exposing your kids to everything. And this last week, Jonathan Gold, the restaurant critic for the Los Angeles Times, passed away. He was very young, in his 50s. And one of the things that somebody pointed out was he was a great father, and that he exposed his kids to all kinds of international foods. And I think that's brilliant. I did that with my kids as well. My son became a chef. And we all love eating and talking about great food. And it was a source of commonality. And I loved Jonathan's prose, the way he wrote. I never met him, but he's going to be missed, I think, a lot by his kids because of that exposure to all the culture of food. What kinds of things have you exposed your three daughters to that might be considered a little bit unusual?
Well, I've got to say, just on the subject of food, that is, you asked about mistakes. That was probably a mistake that I made. I have spent a great deal of the time parenting my kids as a single father. And for whatever reason, I'm just not a foodie. And so I exposed them to whatever they had at Costco. You know, just a fairly limited palette of things that I like, tuna and mushrooms in cans and things like that, which is the kind of the type of food taste that they have now. But what we
you live in San Francisco, one of the foodie capitals of the world.
Oh, I know. I know. I hear that all the time. I'm perfectly happy to have tuna for every meal, but it's
canned tuna.
What we did that we still enjoy, and we still have these references. It's absolutely wonderful. Is I introduced them to movies from the time that they were very, very young, and in particular Hitchcock movies. And even though they were a little bit scary from time to time, we always talked about them. And they're movies that they saw when they were 5 or 6 years old that we still talk about, and we have these little inside jokes. And there were some mini series that we had that were recorded that we watched, and they probably have seen some of them 20, 30 times, and they become these little family cultural references that have made us closer in a way by having these film references. And
none of you have pet birds, right?
No, but we like that movie though.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of
Hitchcock was great.
It exposed. They're interested in film. They're interested in photography. They're interested in art, and I think a lot of that comes from my exposing them to a lot of films, and also from schlepping them around to museums all the time.
Yeah, I tried that one. That one didn't work so well. Actually, I think my daughter likes museums more than my son. And the last museum I went with my son, and my kids are adults too, was a comic book exhibit at a museum here in the Southern California, Los Angeles area. And he did like that. I mean, it showed the original Superman comic book and the original Batman comic book. And he was really into that. So we had a good time. And he shares his comics with me to this day. They've changed since you and I were kids, but that's another story. Yeah. You know, as your kids are in their 20s now, did you plan anything for them as an expectant father? In other words, you thought, gee, maybe they'll go into the military, maybe they'll do this, doctor, lawyer, whatever. Did you start at that age?
Well, I think when I started off, I was fully expecting each one of them to be a boy, but that didn't happen for any of them, for all three of them, obviously. But I still had this idea that they were going to be jocks. And I pushed that in the beginning, physical activity and exercise and baseball and football and whatever, and none of them had any interest in it. So, that was, I wasted some time with that. But I really did try to do what we talked about before the break, about trying to let them be who they are and take my cues from them and expose them to a lot of different things. And if they were interested in gymnastics, we did that. If they were interested in music, they did that. If we, whatever it is that they like to do, art or clay or anything, I tried to give them as much as I could and let them make their own decisions. And if I saw that there was a passion for something, then we would do more of that. But if they seemed to be bored or afraid of or just lost interest in it, then we would do something else.
And at the same time, your daughter, the singer, is she in the music business today?
No, she's a photo editor and is just switching over to doing documentary films now.
Ah, got it. Well, we should talk. Listen, we really appreciate it, Armin, and look forward to talking to you again. The Expectant Father, The Ultimate Guide for Dads-to-Be, by Armin A. Brott. We'll have information at latenighthealth.com, and I think I'm supposed to be a guest on his show at some time, so we'll look forward to that. Yeah, we will set that up. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about the gut health with Wade T. Lightheart as Late Night Health continues. Join us at facebook.com/Late Night Health Radio. Don't go away. More coming up.